Good evening. Good evening. And welcome my fellow Barnard alumni, students, faculty, staff, trustees, community guests, and friends. My name is Dr. Marilyn Sanders Mobley, and I'm a proud alum of Barnard College, class of 1974. Yay! And a professor of English and African American Studies at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. It is my honor to welcome you to this first event in honor of Sheila Abdus-Salaam's Memorial Fund. As a fellow classmate of Sheila, I'm so pleased that members of her family were able to join us for this occasion. Welcome Shireen, Christine, and Monet. And Nina. Nina, yes. Did I miss anyone? Okay. We are so happy you were able to join us. And thank you, Les. Where is Les? Les, we want to thank him for ushering us in with such beautiful music. And he chose Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? Marvin Gaye, a Washington native, as Sheila is a Washington native. And that song was made in 1971, Vicki told me. I didn't know the year. I just knew we played it a lot. And so we thank you, Les, for ushering us in. Beautiful music. Sheila Abdus-Salaam, a native Washingtonian and a graduate of its public schools, was a member of Barnard's class of 1974. She graduated from Columbia Law School in 1977. When she died in April 2017, she was an associate judge on New York State's highest court, the Court of Appeals, the first African-American woman to serve on that court. Within days after Sheila's passing, a statement was written by another 1974 classmate, Ellen Holder Honeywell, and Ellen is here somewhere. Ellen. On behalf of the classes of 1971 through 1977, and read at a Barnard organization for Soul Sisters, BOSS as we know it, event by Ellen's daughter, Amanda Honeywell, who's also here, class of 2018. To paraphrase that statement, we knew Sheila before she reached the pinnacle of the profession. We knew her when she had dreams that could not be deferred. We knew her when the strength of her heritage and the power of her intellect shone through in her eyes and in her spoken words, unquote. And with her, we celebrated and nurtured one of the many seeds planted at Barnard, the blessings of a lifetime of sisterhood. From the start of her career with Brooklyn Legal Services, the New York State Attorney's General Office, New York State Attorney General's Civil Rights Bureau, and the New York City Division of Labor Services, and during her 26 years serving in different judicial roles, culminating with her appointment to the Court of Appeals, Sheila remained fully engaged in her community. She served as chair of the Women's Housing Education and Development Corporation, among her other public service activities. Sheila's commitment to justice, equity, and the poor and underserved communities was reflected in both her professional and community life. She was one of those rare individuals who actually walked the talk and did so with integrity, warmth, and at appropriate times, wit. Like many of my fellow Barnard alums, I referred to Sheila as my sister friend. My mother knew I usually did not bother with the technicality of referring to her as sister friend and simply referred to her as my sister. My sons knew her as Aunt Sheila, and we remained connected down through the years by phone, email, handwritten letters, and birthday cards. And I know I have other Barnard sister friends who can say the same thing, so I didn't have a unique role, although sometimes, Shireen, I tried to act like I did, but I knew better. It's a challenge being in New York or on Barnard's campus knowing she is not in the world with us. But she is very much with us in spirit and in our hearts, and we brought her into this room with us tonight. In fact, what makes this occasion so very, very important is that it is dedicated to keeping Sheila's memory alive on the campus where she first demonstrated her commitment to education, lifelong learning, community service, and social justice. Although Sheila remained busy, she always made time to share herself with college, with this college, with BOSS, with current students, and with that sisterhood whose seeds were first planted with those of us in the Barnard class of 1974, and many of the sisters of the surrounding classes as well. And I learned from one gentleman that a student I welcomed to Case Western, I only learned about her because Sheila and Mr. Wynn told me about her. And so it's just an example. The student was looking for a place to land, and Sheila was instrumental in her finding a college that was right for her. With the support and guidance of Dawn Williams and others in Barnard's Office of Development, and I can't say enough about Dawn. Where is Dawn sitting? Can't say enough about Dawn. Vicki Brown, Helene, and I began talking to Dawn, and as a result, we learned that this was going to be possible. We didn't really know all the logistics, we just knew we wanted it, and Dawn helped us work through the implementation, and others in the Barnard Office of Development, including Frances Sadler. Frances couldn't be with us tonight, but Frances also was part of the group that was working with Dawn's office, and members of Sheila's class, our class of 74, and other alums of the BOSS organization, worked to create a memorial fund supporting scholarships and internships that honor Sheila's legacy and commitment to social justice and public interest. Over 88 individuals have made gifts and multi-year pledges to the fund. That's impressive, 88. Including 55 alumni, and that's most recent information. As a result, in less than 2 years, over 100,000 in gifts and pledges have been received, meeting our goal of the funds qualifying as a permanent endowment. And I don't know about you, but that's important that it's endowed. The purpose of the Sheila Abdus-Salaam Memorial Fund is to provide financial support with special consideration for students who have graduated from a public secondary school in an urban area, who show a commitment to public service, and who wish to explore the field of public interest law or other work in promoting social justice for historically oppressed communities. The first recipient of the grant went to Samaha Hossein, and Samaha could not be with us tonight because she has the flu. And so we hope she's home resting and doing what you need to do when you have the flu. She's a junior from Brooklyn, majoring in American Studies with a possible minor in anthropology. And in true Barnard fashion, she was prepared, and so she sent us, what she would have said. So I'm going to read what she would have said in honor of her. Is that all right with you? Yes. Okay. Hi, my name is Samaha Hussein, and I am a senior. She's now a senior here at Barnard. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for not being present, but I think it's best that I stay home and get rid of this and fight off this infection. That being said, I hope this note does its job of thanking all those present at this occasion and all those related with Sheila Abdus-Salaam Memorial, with the Sheila Abdus-Salaam Memorial Fund. So thank you so much for being here and for giving your time tonight. As I mentioned before, I am currently a senior at Barnard. I am majoring in American Studies with an interdisciplinary concentration on race and ethnicity and minoring in anthropology. Oh, anthropology, so it's changed. I'm very lucky to have found American Studies at Barnard because I found an area of study that truly stimulates and excites me. American Studies opened my eyes to critically engaging with theories surrounding why our society remains one predicated on the continuous oppression of minorities. It has given me the intellectual toolkit to believe in my own ability to reconstruct and reshape my world for those who made this possible before me and for generations to come. With the support of funds like the Sheila Abdus-Salaam Memorial, I have had the opportunity to explore many opportunities during my academic year. This past year, I was awarded the Judith K. Arthur Lehman Public Interest Law Fellowship with Yale Law School, while beginning my summer internship as an investigator intern at the Legal Aid Society. This summer was incredibly transformative for me in the ways that I got to interview clients and victims while experiencing the secondhand trauma of experiencing America's broken criminal justice system. It was an experience which brought the systemic and individual issues of American society on the same playing field, which was an incredibly humbling and unique experience. Public defense is now something that is of great interest and care to me, which I will continue exploring into the future. I am considering applying to law school this fall, and as I embark on this journey, I remember greats like Sheila Abdus-Salaam, who paved the way, and I acknowledge my position as one who continues to hold the door open for those to come after. I thank everyone in this room for being here tonight. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and I hope you have an amazing night. That's from our first recipient. So if you're ever on campus and she's around, give her a hug and let her know that we appreciate how she's helping us with the legacy of Sheila. And now to introduce our speaker is Vicki Brown. Rochelle V. Brown. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Rochelle V. Brown is a member of Barnard's 1974 class and was graduated from Harvard Law School. She was Associate General Counsel at the Smithsonian and currently teaches law and the arts in Goucher College's Master in Arts Administration program. A past chair of the DC Bar Arts, Entertainment, and Sports Law section, her prior positions also include serving as Chief Counsel of the U.S. Virgin Islands Legislature. Please help me welcome Vicki Brown.
Good evening. Over the past 10 days or a week, Nina and I have talked. We've exchanged emails. And at the time we did, neither of us realized that I would be introducing her tonight. Unfortunately, Helene was going to do this job, but is unable to join us. So I'm standing in Helene's shoes, and they're big shoes, and I'm very proud to do so. But Nina Shaw, a native New Yorker, was graduated from Barnard College in 1976 in Columbia Law School. This past February, Nina received the Columbia Law School's highest honor, the Medal for Excellence. In that same month, Nina also was honored with the Athena Award from the annual Athena Film Festival here at Barnard College. Nina began her legal career in the entertainment department of the O'Melveny and Myers law firm in Los Angeles. But within 10 years, my sister had to strike out and start her own law firm. She co-founded her own law firm, Dale Shaw Monvez, Tanaka, Finkelstein, and Liscano in Los Angeles. Her clients are successful and award-winning actors, writers, producers, directors, entrepreneurs, and entertainment executives. Her client list is the envy of anyone who practices in the field of entertainment law. They include Spike Lee, Jamie Foxx, Ava DuVernay, Ta-Nehisi Coates, James Earl Jones, Nick Cannon, dance and author Misty Copeland, Regina King, and almost any other actor of color who's making money in Hollywood. It's Nina's client. Nina's skills as a deal maker and as a tenacious advocate for her clients have been celebrated by, among others, the Beverly Hills Bar Association, which named her its 2013 Entertainment Lawyer of the Year, and Essence Magazine, which honored her with its 2016 Black Woman in Hollywood Power Award. And if you have not read her speech from that occasion, Google it. It was powerful. Nina was also profiled in the New York Times as being the Hollywood power behind those seeking a voice. She's been named repeatedly to the Hollywood Reporter's Women in Entertainment Power 100 list. And just this past summer, Barnard Magazine featured our sister Nina on the cover in an article written by Erin Aubrey Kaplan that was entitled Agent of Change. And the author notes that Nina's accomplishments and well-deserved accolades, quote, all rest on her own core talent, a dogged work ethic fused to empathy and a sense of history, an obligation to honor the right of clients to be fully considered and fairly treated. That's pretty much the definition of justice, and Shaw has been implementing it her own way her entire career, end of quote. Or as her client Lawrence Fishburne said in 2017, as one of the most powerful women in our business in Hollywood, she knows that true power has nothing to do with strength and has everything to do with doing the right thing. One of the latest efforts in Nina's pursuit of justice is her co-founding Time's Up. Significantly, Time's Up's initiative is joining the stories of rich celebrities from the arts and entertainment world with women workers in the farm, janitorial, and other green and blue-collar fields, and launching a $14 million defense fund to help defray legal expenses for these women seeking help. Now, I'm not sure if many of you saw that wonderful, wonderful statute of I Am Queen Mary in the hall, which, if you're not familiar with her story, is a story of, in the late 19th century, Queen Mary and other women on the island of St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands protested labor conditions on that island for several days. Over time, that revolt eventually led to improvements in the working conditions and wages on that island and ushered the beginning of labor unions, which came shortly after that protest. So I was like overwhelmed and felt a tingling in my senses just to think that that statute came only this week, the same week that Nina Shaw is on campus, to honor Sheila Abdus-Salaam. 3 Queen Marys this week. So there's never an accident. There's never any mistakes. And we are so, so proud to have Nina Shaw as our speaker for the inaugural Sheila Abdus-Salaam Lecture. And like Queen Mary and Sheila, Nina is a change agent who always shows up, always speaks up to protect and advocate for the rights of those who may not have a voice and to bring about justice. Nina.
Vicki, thank you so much. It's so funny, I speak a lot, as you can probably imagine, as my papers fall all over the place here. And I'm never nervous about speaking. I really am never nervous about speaking, but I was so nervous about this evening because I know Sheila would really be upset with me if I didn't do a good job. And I didn't want to let her down. And there's something about being back here that no matter what our accomplishments are, when we were preparing the program, someone asked me if I wanted Esquire after my name, and I said, no, that's okay, because I always think about when I'm here that I am Nina Shaw, Barnard class of 1976. Yeah. So, it is the fall of 1970. Diana Ross hits the Billboard charts with Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And a fearless young woman, Sheila Turner, travels 200 miles from her home in Washington, D.C. to take a bite out of the Big Apple as a Barnard freshman. Sheila has just graduated from Eastern Senior High, where black students had been the majority. Now, as a Barnard freshman, she would become part of the largest number of black women in a single class to have ever entered the college. By most accounts, there are 40 black women in Sheila's class as compared to 20 in the class entering just the year before. But even at 40 strong, they are less than 10% of the total class of 1974 of approximately 550 women. So, what does this increase in black women coming to Barnard tell us? Well, for starters, these 40 young women are the children of Brown v. Board of Education. Their teenage years have been shaped by what would become known as one of the most memorable decades in American history, the 1960s. They have experienced the assassination of 3 seminal civil rights leaders, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. They have also lived in an America in which a sitting president and his brother, a presidential candidate, have been gunned down. And let's not forget, they enter Barnard as the twin battering rams of the civil rights movement and the women's movement are shaking America's colleges and universities to their core. Also, it's a tough time in New York City, which is aptly described in the news as dirty, dangerous, and destitute. Columbia University itself seems to be tottering on the brink of financial insolvency, and at Barnard, the specter of a shift to co-education seems to permeate the air. This is the world of Sheila Turner and 39 other young Black women in the fall of 1970 as they enter the big iron gates of Barnard College. They know that their collective number is larger than it has ever been. They know that their very presence is the result of countless heroic fights so that they might have the right to an education of their choice. They're young, but they know the significance of the moment and they take it seriously. A year before Sheila entered Barnard, in the spring of 1969, a nascent organization, BOSS, the Barnard Organization of Soul Sisters, paid a visit to then President Martha Peterson. They met in Martha Peterson's lovely office. I won't say how they got there. The college, the BOSS ladies make 10 demands to improve the college and the lives of Black women at Barnard. Sheila would be directly impacted by two of the most tangible results: a floor for Black students in the Brooks Hewitt Reed complex and a Black student lounge in Reed. This would mean that from her first days at Barnard, there would be a physical place for Sheila. It would be a respite, no matter how brief, from the constant sense of always being on display, or as one BOSS member from that era described it, feeling like an animal in the zoo. The Black floor and BOSS offices were safe places, a place to exhale. They ensured well-being. This tumultuous era is the perfect time, and Barnard is the perfect place to nurture an activist. However, Sheila's sense of social justice was not born at the college. For that, she often gave thanks to her family and specifically her mother. But it is here that it blossomed. Like most of her Black and brown classmates, Sheila came to Barnard because one of the primary lessons of the civil rights movement was that for people like us, an education is the only way to move up. However, the irony is that they found the education offered to be objectionable in its Eurocentricity. They came to realize that it was on them to bend and shape their schools so that the administration would see the importance in offering a curriculum that these women thought would prepare them for the lives they were destined to lead as prominent thinkers and contributors to our society. And thus, a marvelous group of leaders was forged. Women like Frances Sadler, Karen Butler, and Mila Olden. And yes, the woman who we are all here to honor, Sheila Turner, who would become known as the Honorable Sheila Abdus-Salaam. Can you imagine this group of young women as part of the first generation to have obtained the right to an equal education, having the courage and foresight to say to the powers that be that in order for the education to be equal, it cannot diminish the accomplishments of us as a people by marginalizing our contribution to society? They demanded that we must see ourselves reflected in the curriculum, echoing the words of the poet June Jordan, who upon leaving Barnard in 1954 said, "No one ever presented me with a single Black author, poet, historian, personage, or idea for that matter, nor was I ever assigned a single woman to study as a thinker or writer or poet or life force. Nothing that I learned here lessened my feelings of pain or confusion and bitterness. But what a difference they made for we, the beneficiaries, who entered this place and were embraced by its warm core because of pioneering women like Frances and Karen, Mila, Sheila, and too many more to name. They were our professors. They let us know that at times we would feel simultaneously ignored, exposed, underestimated, and marveled at. They told us that the Black men of Columbia would both support us and yet embrace their traditional roles in the patriarchy and undermine us. Sorry, brothers, but you know. These women would help us to navigate academically and socially. They read our first drafts, sympathized with our lows, and celebrated our highs. They helped us find our way around the city, which for us was more uptown than downtown. They made us see that Harlem was not a place to fear, but a community of people much like the communities many of us came from. We were fortified by the love and support of these young women as we joined them in the Barnard sisterhood. However, even in this group of very special women, Sheila stood out. She gave, she supported, she pushed, prodded, and pulled us towards strengths she felt we possessed more than we did. She had this way of giving advice that didn't feel like she was giving advice. A long drawn out, well, an amazingly even-keeled temperament, and with just a few words, she could lead you to the light and make you think it was your idea. When Eric Holder memorialized her, he described a seriousness about her, a strong sense of purpose at a relatively young age. Sheila was an old soul in the body of a vibrant young woman, and yes, she loved to dance. It's no wonder that those of us who were lucky enough to be with Sheila at Barnard came to understand that she was duty-bound to make us feel that we weren't just welcome here. She made us understand that we had a rightful place in this institution. In fact, we own this place. So no matter how out of place we might feel or be made to feel, Sheila would always be there for us, just as we must always be here for the Black and brown women of Barnard today and tomorrow, who will pay this legacy forward. In preparation for my remarks today, I asked Sheila's classmate, Vicki Brown, why was it that no matter what our connection might be to each other, we all loved Sheila? And she said, Nina, it was because she always showed up. She was pure of heart, and she shared of herself in a way that made her a friend to everyone, and she valued her sisterhood. My classmate, Helene Gale, said that Sheila went headlong into living her life, and her fearlessness inspired us to do the same. In the years following her time at Barnard, Sheila's life seemed preordained. She was going to be a lawyer, and unlike some of us, present company included, she actually knew what lawyers did. When the esteemed Black lawyer Frankie Friedman came to Sheila's high school, Sheila was impacted by what she described as Miss Friedman's inspirational sense of purpose, which perfectly describes Sheila. Also, Sheila knew that her law degree was absolutely useless unless it embodied some higher reason for being. From the beginning of her studies at Columbia Law School, where I was lucky in a few years to be her classmate, she was very clear that being a Black lawyer meant believing that the law, which had been used liberally as a tool of oppression, could, with intellect and persistence evolve in such a way as to put all men and women on equal footing. It seems so Sheila that following a career as a public defender and an assistant district attorney, she became the first Black woman to serve on New York State's highest court. But no matter how many accomplishments she achieved or how much success she could claim, she remained what she had always been, a giver of the best gift ever. She gave the gift of herself. Now, Barnard was also the recipient of her largesse. For the rest of her life, Sheila gave back to Barnard by sharing her experiences with students and alumna. She was ever present on campus. I saw her so many times over the years. I recall us sitting together when President Obama addressed the Barnard graduation. She attended reunions and alumna of color dinners. She served on the awards and fellowship committees of the Alumna Association, and most fittingly, in 2014, on the occasion of her 40th class reunion, Sheila received the Distinguished Alumna Award. Thank you so much for allowing me to represent so many of you and to launch this lecture series in honor of our Sheila. A special thanks to her family members who are here with us today, her friends near and far, among them the indomitable Black women of Barnard, who you know are boss. Those who came before Sheila and those who followed in her footsteps. Losing Sheila was the hardest collective experience of our lives as Barnard women. It remains inexplicably heartbreaking. But in truth, no matter how or when her time would come, none of us would have ever been prepared to lose her. Sheila's presence was so constant, assuring, and comfortable that even though she may no longer be with us physically, she is always present in our thoughts, our hearts, and more importantly, in our actions. The love and care we show to each other and the change we demand in the world is the legacy of Sheila. June Jordan, who I referred to earlier, spoke at Barnard when we were students. And I remember speaking to Sheila following Ms. Jordan's lecture. So I leave you with these words from June Jordan's 1977 poem for Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. It reminds me so much of Sheila. We ate, a family, tremulous but fortified, by turnips, okra, hand-picked like the lilies, filled to the very living full. One solid gospel, sanctified. One gospel, peace. One full black lily luminescent in a homemade field of love. Thank you.
Nina, we just want to give you this as a token of how we feel. You captured so much of what we feel. We really can't thank you enough, and we just want to give you this as a token.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was really the hardest thing I think I've ever had to write in my life, because one of the things about only seeing Sheila occasionally and emailing her is that it kind of keeps the illusion that she's still there. Yes. And I think this was, for me, a moment to come clear with the reckoning of her loss, but also to think about what and how she had impacted my life, and how completely bonded I am to the women who I met at Barnard in my class and otherwise. How every time I pick up the Barnard magazine, even when I'm not in it, I always turn to first my class notes,
Right.
and then I turn to the class of 1974. because I know them all. And it's just thank you so much. It's really.
So this concludes our program. We do hope you will consider the Sheila Abdus-Salaam Fund. There are envelopes available for you to give to it. I can't think of a better way for us to have launched this annual event than what we did tonight. So thank you all for coming.